Hello and welcome. This is the Tuesday 2 o'clock Tea and Talk. It is a regular weekly conversation about business, marketing, and mindset that I do over on my Facebook page. And I am Aura McKay. I'm a business coach and lifestyle strategist, and I specialize in helping creative entrepreneurs bridge that gap between their creative genius, their talents, their training, and running a business and making money. So many of us are well-trained, we're incredibly skilled, we're very professional, we're great at what we do, and we're not necessarily supported by really strong business ideas, techniques, and strategies for helping us really thrive in our creative businesses. So these conversations are meant to be little 10 to 15 minute little insights into how can we be more successful at running our business by design instead of by default. This particular conversation came about from an earlier Tea and Talk where Sue Sparlin had a question about a mismatch between her and who she was targeting as a potential client. So last week we were having some marketing conversations, and Sue had sort of an aha moment where she recognized that she was going after a client that wasn't necessarily a great fit for her and for her business. And I think that this happens for a lot of us where we get swept up in the shoulda, woulda, couldas. We get swept up in sort of the fantasy of who we would like to work with, instead of really checking in to see who is it that we are the best fit for in terms of the marketplace. And I'm not sure whether this comes from kind of like scarcity thinking or comparisonitis or imposter syndrome. Wherever it comes from, it certainly does set us up for potentially entering into a mismatched relationship. So when I was first starting out as a photographer, I didn't have a lot of confidence in some of my photography skills, which makes sense. I didn't have a lot of practice and experience. I certainly had been trained in some areas and wasn't 100% sure that I could pull off other kinds of photography. So I was really reluctant to, let's say, market myself as a super experienced commercial advertising photographer, having never really done it before. And I was perhaps too cautious about not stretching or challenging myself or reaching out to potential clients that maybe I really could have served. And one thing happened to me early on in my career where I was booked for, might have been like 20 years ago now. I was booked for a wedding and I was unable, I really wanted to do the wedding. I thought it would be really great. If I didn't say yes, when was I ever gonna get experience? But I was also very cognizant that this is somebody's like only day, it's their only chance, and I didn't want to mess it up. So I said yes to the job, and then I made sure that I outsourced and hired someone who was really experienced to come and photograph the wedding with me, so that I was making sure that I was meeting my client's needs. So that story is an example where my skills didn't necessarily match my client's needs. Was where there was a disconnect between my skill level and what the client's needs were. But I think what Sue was referring to more was when there's a disconnect between style or attitude or approach or values or something of that nature. And, Marielle, I know that you are doing sort of high volume marketing, so it's not necessarily that you're connecting with each individual client and building like a huge long-term relationship with them. But it's the same idea of, if you're going to find a marketing partner or if you are going to advertise on a certain platform, you want to make sure that that advertising partner or that platform or the client that you're going after is really a good fit for who you are in your business. As creatives, as solopreneurs, we are really intrinsically tied into our business. And what I mean by is it a fit is the idea of making sure that my message resonates. So for instance, if you are looking in a dollar store and you see somebody who you normally perceive as being a high ticket luxury item advertising or selling their product or service in that environment, it's a disconnect. It doesn't make sense to you as the consumer or as the possible client for that. So making sure that your marketing, that you align it with the platform that is that resonates with who you are as a brand personality. Some creatives feel very challenged when they're up against doing something for potentially a business or a cause that they don't agree with, whether it's a political cause or whether it's some kind of organization that may be operating in the world differently from how you want to operate. So do you want to lend your photography to that? Do you want to lend your creative voice to that? What do you do when it's not a fit? Well, hopefully you can figure it out before you say yes to the opportunity or the job, because that's always a challenge. That once you've agreed to something and you've signed a contract and then all of a sudden you go, oh, wait, this is not a good client for me. That is a tough position to be in. So before you sign the contract, before you say yes to the gig, there's going to be some kinds of red flags. And I think, each of us in any of our industries, we go, ooh, there's a red flag on that client. Ooh, that would have been a red flag. How you can identify the red flags, the sort of danger signals, like this client may not be the best fit for me. I may not be able to serve this client within my own skills. Maybe this marketing platform doesn't really match who my business is. Maybe this isn't the great business partner for me. The best way to be able to identify that in advance, before you've signed a contract or made a commitment, is to be crystal clear on who you are. To be crystal clear on who you are as a business, on what you stand for as a business, about what your values are, about what your message is, about what your brand personality is, what your promise is. So getting crystal clear on all of that will make it much easier for you to be able to see in advance, ooh, this isn't a good fit for who I am in the world. Oh, this doesn't measure up or match who I say I want to be in the world. So that's one really great way. The next thing is, what do you do once you've already signed the contract? Once you've already said yes? Well, hopefully there's one more step in between that. Hopefully there's one more step where, even if you've identified all the red flags and you're still I see the red flags, but I'm going to go for it anyways. Maybe there's one more step that you can take where you can have a conversation. So one of the things that I do in my coaching business is that before anybody can actually coach with me, they must have a conversation with me. We have to get on the phone one-on-one. We've got to see if our personalities are a fit, if my style of coaching is a fit, because my message may be a fit, my brand promise may be a great fit. You may really respond to, what I'm up to in my experience in the world. But once we get on the phone and we start working together, that may be very, very different. So I've had a lot of creatives come up against this similar challenge where they have a brand already in place and they want to generate additional revenue. I mean, absolutely. Going from fine art print to home decor print is a big shift in marketplace, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the same work. So what you can do is you can create a new business to serve that new market, and you can preserve James Fitzroy as your own artistic, creative, fine art work, and you can keep very specifically your best work on this. This kind of challenge happens a lot, and it's great that you're thinking about it in advance so that you're not creating that disconnect between your clients' expectations and what they're actually getting. Continue to serve your existing clients and your existing high-end premium brand. And then my advice, and Ashley's advice too, is to create a different brand for your home decor and stock style images so that your less precious captures the ones that are maybe not quite as unique to the marketplace, the ones that have more of a stock or decor feel to them. You can exclusively offer them through that other brand, and then that brand's promise, the actual delivery of your service and your product will be totally in an alignment, and then you will absolutely be meeting and matching your clients' expectations. So once you've seen the red flags, you've even had a conversation to see whether or not this client is a good fit, and you're still going ahead with it, now what do? How do you fire a client? How do you realize that you gotta just cut it loose, that whatever you've already invested in this, it's not worth pursuing? How do you make that decision? And I think for each of us, it's a little bit different. Once you're at that place where it's really not a good fit for you and your clients, now what do? And yeah, I think it's circumstance by circumstance. When it's an existing client, I mean, my inclination is to suck it up, buttercup, and finish off with that client. When you're looking at a thing where it's a disconnect between, like, you've already invested a bunch of money or time or effort or energy in terms of marketing to a client, and then you realize, this isn't the right client to be marketing to, or this isn't the right platform to be marketing to, there comes a time when you gotta say, you know what? That's a sunk cost. Yes, I've spent the money. Yes, I spent the time. Yes, I spent the effort. But the more I look at this isn't the right road for me to be walking down. This isn't the right place for me to be pursuing clients. This isn't the right client to pursue. And it takes something to recognize that all of that effort that you've been investing in it may be kind of a little bit wasted, in that you're not going to be seeing the return on that investment that you expected. However, it's so much smarter to realize and to let it go than to keep putting more time and more money and more effort into what's clearly not a great fit. How do you know when it's not a great fit? Again, that goes back to being clear about who you are as a business, being clear about what it is that you are up to in the world, be clear about the market that you're trying to reach, and being clear about your brand promise. So next week, we're going to talk a little bit more on how do you get clear on who your target market is, how do you get clear on who your avatar client is. So until then, I really appreciate your participation in this global Tuesday 2 o'clock Tea and Talk. I'm excited to see you guys here next week. And until then, have a great week.